Yarat Aradaislagi Horoya Denebananta, Dr. Bu Nygren. Yat Benin Hidini de Lesto, Njonagoshi Horo, Hada Okisigi, Yahat Olela, Siega Horoya, Shil, Ado, Yahat, Hadashi Hadaso, Kizigi, Yahat Oles, Ado Sashi, Bish Behenede, Hashi Hadaso, Kizdo, Hojishi, Nitna, Sosodil, Kilobelegana, Kachik Yarat, is Hadashin Daso, Kizigi, Yahat Hidini de Les Teach the modo teaching the Nishkone, Hodo Aslagos, Kiloben, Kisnash, Doin Tada, Taho, Nesigido, Benada and Nishto, Had Latana, the Sado, Haila, Skona, Tailga, Nenegia. Eyat Odo, I can't Kadini do Listo, Sashin, the Horo had that so Kizdo, Doshin, Do Yok, Ekispada House, Zenegi, Touchy Ninsle. Do not was a bus chain, do Todich E near the chair, do that was a Chanel. Aro Nash Inige, former state representative, Aro got First Lady Jasmine Blackwater Nygren. Hoto, Nash Indosha, Haziado, Beninach. Huijin, Juno Nanish, Belaho Benish, and so Nehanash Nish, Ishido Hodo, Yat Etolish, Aro. No, I get a lot of texts on what's going on in the news and what's happening, but first and foremost, I just want you guys to know, as I mentioned last week, that we issued a statement in kind of response to what's being said on Navajo Times about disgruntled employees and things that are happening in my office. One of the things I want to rest assured to you all, the most serious one was the allegations of a sexual assault in my office. One of the first things I want to mention is that the minute I got wind of it, I took care of it and I made sure that the individual that was accused was resigned, and the other individual made sure that she continued to work for me for about 5 months, and she didn't resign because of she didn't enjoy working there. She had other responsibilities that she wanted to take care of, but on her way out, she told me she was very happy that she worked for me and my administration, and that she would one day love to come back and work for me too. So, in my opinion, I made it a safe work environment the minute I got wind of it, and I know that as president, as elected officials, and people of government, we try not to interfere on ongoing investigations, and that's where I'm going to let it be, because that's where the authorities have taken over. It's been 7 months, and I feel like I've done what I needed to do, because you guys all know that I'm a big advocate for making sure that people are protected and people are safe, and that's what we did. Made the work environment safe for the individual, and moved on, and made sure that the proper authorities were they were informed. So again, as president, I may be the president of the Navajo Nation, but but they got to make sure that we got to continue to make sure that people are safe. So that's what I'm excited about too. So, and then the other thing I also want to mention too is that when it comes to the people that work for me, we got to make sure that so that's the thing that I also want to make sure is that people that work for me, I have a real strong work ethic. I want to be a president if I was a late bloomer, meaning like getting up at 9 o'clock and coming to work whenever I want to work. I expect hard work ethics. I always tell my staff, 7:30 is when you should be here. 5:30 should be when you're walking out the door, and you're always on call for our Navajo people. So if that's something that you don't appreciate and you feel like you don't have a sense of duty, I've got a short time frame to be president. While I'm president, I'm going to make sure that I continue to motivate and encourage people to have a sense of duty to serve, because every single day is a tough day on here on Navajo, because we don't have all the resources, we don't have all the personnel, but the people that work for me every day, they know the status of excellence that I require out of them, because we have been given the opportunity to help serve our people. And while we've got that opportunity, I want people to make sure they're working 50, 60, 70 hours a week, really trying to help and make a difference for our community. And that's one of the things that you guys told me, is that you wanted to make sure that I come into this office and I take it very serious, and I bring in people that don't look at the clock, people that are not worried about how many hours that they're working, or looking at 5 o'clock, they're peeking at the clock. That's not how I operate. I come from an industry where you show up at 6 a.m. and you don't leave till 7 p.m. So, and that's what you guys need to really push a lot of the initiatives. A big platform that I promised the Navajo people. A lot of people laughed at me last year because they said, that's too big of a platform. How are you going to get it done? Well, we got to work our tails off and make it happen. And that's one of the things I'll promise you is that as your president, I'm going to make sure people are not wasting your time, not wasting the people's time, and I require a lot of people to be here on a day-to-day basis. So again, I appreciate each and every one of you, and hopefully you guys can back me up and say, you know what, president does have zero tolerance for people that don't have a duty to serve. And that's what I feel like. That's why I'm in office, and that's why the people that work for me day in, day out, you better have a sense of duty to serve. You better have compassion. You better wake up in your heart knowing that you're going to help our people. And if the minute you don't have that commitment to serve, you have no business working for me. And if you're going to show up late, you're not going to perform, you're not going to say what you're going to do, I really don't have time for that because people are out there. They've got muddy roads. They're asking for gravel. They're asking for services. They're asking for a better government. There's so many people that come into my office by the hundreds on a week-to-week basis asking for all sorts of things. And in order for us to meet their expectations, we got to have a sense of excellence on our end. So again, that's one of the things I also hopefully you can chit chat about that and let people know, President, he knows he's on a timeline and he wants people that want to be here. So ishi jobe tahos net to lehasi. The nebanan apata inishigi itskin so halit ola joban sida kes halit ola jos chedolnis arudo andat in yego ban sida kes halit ola chedolnis a edepeta north kal ishi hot on zonogo the nebe beka di was the snow e hot o the nebanan an khanshle again. Appreciate that. I get all the text messages on every single day, but I just want you to know we're working hard and you've got a guy that loves to work, so I think that's a good person to have as your president of the Navajo Nation. And then it just comes with the job too. So I don't try to answer every question, every negativity, because if I did that, I'd spend my whole day answering Jeanette. But what you guys care about is what we're doing, what we're tangibly getting accomplished, and that's what I stay focused on a day basis. Is what are we doing? What's next? How are we going to help our people? What's the status? You told me this last week, and that as your president, I'm very big on making sure I try to keep our people accountable. And if there's things that are in the way that it's not their fault, we try to come together as a team, and I try to make sure that I put those responsibilities on the people that work for me. I'm not a micromanager. I set the vision, I set the goals, and I set expectations, and I expect people to meet those demands. So, again, just kind of management 101. I know a lot of you guys have taken a lot of management classes. I know a lot of you kind of work the way I work, so I appreciate you. So upcoming appreciation days, holidays, we've got National Impaired Driving Prevention Month. As I mentioned last week too, stay safe, watch out where you're driving, look out for drunk drivers, and if somebody's drinking, advise them not to get on the road because it's holiday season. This is the most busiest time of the year, Christmas and New Year. So we want to make sure that our loved ones are at home, our loved ones come home on a day-to-day basis, and really encourage our relatives who plan on, maybe you see them, you tell them no, take the keys away, stay home. Other moving on, local announcements. Desiree Fowler inducted as the first Indigenous person to serve as president of the Arizona School Board Association. So many kudos to you, President Fowler, for making us Navajo people look good out there and being the first Indigenous person to hold that position. I know your clans are Tabaha, born for Kisachitni, maternal grandfathers are Nakaidene, and paternal grandfather is Todachini. So again, big kudos to you and your family and making us look good out there. So yeah, si hoto alchinias nan kendo betenesti benant an long hojo hahosto hahotsogi. Yeah, they need all it. Yeah, hodat energy an nehi but that need don't ken the seat. So again, thank you for what you do. First Lady's office coat drive is still accepting donations until Friday. So if you've got a jacket that you might have worn once or twice, or you've got some gloves, a beanie, whatever it may be, wash it up a little bit and drop it off at the First Lady's office. I know her assistant is there on a day-to-day basis again. So we're trying to get that coat dry for Flagstaff and Gallup area to really make sure that we can at least help some of our relatives that don't have a jacket or a coat. And also other announcements. Naomi Glasses named Ralph Lauren as artist in residence. I think we've got a Navajo person who's going to be helping Ralph Lauren make sure that Navajo native designs are accurate and they reflect who we are as people. So big kudos to one of our very own Naomi Glasses for being a part of the Ralph Lauren team. And one of the things I was told is that any of the a percentage of the sales that Naomi produces with the collection will benefit Change Labs, a nonprofit focused on creating small businesses out of Tuba City. So again, not only is she representing us, but at the same time, part of those funds that come from the sales will go to Change Labs, which is going to help our people become self-sufficient, start their own projects, be able to become the person that they were meant to be in terms of starting their own business. Moving on to missing Navajo people, 9-year-old Jacob Yazi was last seen December 1st. If you seen this young man, he's 9 years old, 4 foot tall, 70 pounds. Please call Shirbrook Police District 505-368-1350. 9-year-old, that's just a little, years ago. Heshi ba wait yajet enigi da sound of she has job mado ba jabe ba sta dos ne to ba kid and then again she had a habit in trout hot ocean so la ba ha dos ne hot on jono ka dos what's happening in the world? Aging farm workers do not have retirement. In the United States, thousands of undocumented farmers who have helped cultivate farmland and their backbreaking farm work now are at the age of retirement, but they don't have Social Security, Medicare, and other forms of retirement relief. States like California, Oregon, and Washington, with a lot of undocumented people, are having a tough time to make sure that they've got some sort of retirement. So, again, I know that's a challenge that they're having. So that's what's happening in the world. We wish them the best. I know that sometimes we take our people that pick up vegetables and do farming and things like that. We got to make sure that we continue to think about them as well, because they've got grandkids and they want to be able to retire. So hopefully they come up with a solution for that as well. This time in history, Pearl Harbor, a day that will live in infamy. 82 years ago, uh, on December 7, 1941, hundreds of fighter planes from the Empire of Japan attacked U.S. naval base at Pearl Harbor. I know that it was a tough time, and that really kick-started the war, awakened the sleeping giant of America. And I just want to say thank you so much to our World War II veterans that are still with us, our code talkers, and our Navajos who serve in our military or have served. So, yeah, thank you for everything that you do. Moving on to Navajo life lesson. Work hard and you will see progress. I know that December, I think about our college students, our high school students, really trying to make sure that they're getting their finals, their final documents, their final paperwork. Some of you might be getting ready for graduation and your reception and bringing your family out, whatever it may be. I just want to say thank you. Continue to work hard because it's going to pay off. Because there's times when you sometimes feel like the road is a long ways down the road, but when you get there, it's something that's worthwhile. So you've got a few weeks left, so finish to the finish line, and congratulations to you as well too. So again, it's one of those things where hard work, it will always provide some sort of progress moving forward. So yeah, to all of our students out there, this week's accomplishments. Division of Human Resources moves forward with new personnel department manager. Debbie Nez, my director for Department of Human Resources, hired Charlotte Big Thumb, who will take over the DPM. That was is in the position to make sure that we can continue to administer personnel policies to help establish fairness for tribal employees and applications. I know that we've got a lot of people that are looking for work, so I'm excited for Charlotte to join our team so that she can really fill a void to try to make sure that we can hire as many people, because those vacancies, I know we're putting a dent in it, but we can continue to make sure that we put a bigger dent in it. And that's just that's what you get with me being your president. I'm never happy. I always want to do a little bit more. I feel like there's always room for improvement. People tell me, you know what, these are things that haven't been done ever. That doesn't matter to me. I just want to continue to make sure that as your president, we're always striving for more. Even though these things have not happened, we want to continue to hire more people and to bring on better goals and complete goals and establish more goals. So as president, so that's one of the things that you all are excited about me is just, you know what, you finish one, let's start another one. So in this case, Charlotte is going to really help us within the human resources, working with Debbie to make sure that we can really close that gap of hiring our people, making sure that we're maintaining them, and at the same time, making sure we've got happy employees too, so that we can really deliver on the services that we intend to provide. School clothing, Division of Social Services is running their first batch of school clothing assistance, $493,500. That's 937 families. Checks will range from $250 to $1,500, and the first batch is sent to general accounting. So again, some of you will be receiving that. This is the first batch, and this is one of those initiatives that we really want to push forward to make sure that government gets out of the way and we get dollars and services out to our people as quickly as possible. So one of the things you've always heard me say, it's easy to allocate money, make plans, but implementing has always been the hardest task on our government parts. As president, as you all know me, it's just it doesn't matter until we see it. And in this case, when our 937 families, 1,900 plus students get the help that they need for school clothing, then that's what matters to me. So thank you for working hard on in the Division of Social Services, Thomas, Cody, and your group. Continue to keep that up. Other things that we're working on. Major project we're working on is the Community Housing and Infrastructure Department Housing Improvement Program, CHID and HIP. They've got some projects that are going to be starting in Delcon and Pinon. They're starting and they're finishing. Again, that's one of those programs where I've tasked them. You know what? We've had plans for decades. Let's really try to start focusing on how can we implement. And the best way to do that is we're also looking for team members. I know every single day I'm always trying to make a phone call and I'm always trying to recruit our professional people, but some of them, their lives are just in Phoenix and Albuquerque and Denver and wherever they may live. It's hard to really bring reliable professional people. But you might be listening out there. I know that the Division of Community Development is looking for a construction supervisor based in Winter Rock. And so if you want to apply for that position, be more than happy to go to the Division of Community Development and apply for that position as well, because we're always looking for help, because especially when it comes to construction supervisors and people that want to work for government who are excited about, again, it all comes back to sense of duty to serve and help our people. If you keep that at the center of everything that we do, we're going to be able to move our nation forward like we've never seen it before. And then the other thing we've worked on is we had a leadership meeting with the Navajo Nation Council. This was the first monthly meeting. We finally established it after 11 months. I know we've all been busy. We've all got all sorts of meetings, but we came together last Thursday. Speaker Curley, Budget and Finance Chair Parrish, Resource and Development Committee Chair Jesus, Delegate Amber Canuzba Crotty, Delegate Dr. Andy Nez, and we spent a good couple hours talking about some of the issues and some of the challenges and some of the things that they'd love for me to work on within the executive branch, and making sure that communication is back and forth. So again, I had my chief of staff, I had my division directors, I had my community reps in that meeting to make sure that they listen to the leadership meeting and really listen to some of the expectations that we have for our government as leaders. So again, thank you to the Navajo Nation Council. Thank you to Speaker Curley and the legislative and all of your staff over there for making your way over to across the street. And we had some good discussions that are going to be monthly, so we can, because end of the day, all of our initiatives, all our projects, and all our goals are all the same. It's just how can we come together and make it happen. And the other thing that we're continuing to work on, an update, is the bathroom additions are currently under construction. I know we signed that $150 million contract with NECA recently. I know NECA is gearing up, and they're also going to be bringing on Navajo contractors, Navajo vendors, Navajo suppliers, and we're really going to try to promote putting Navajo people to work. So one of my goals is to see hundreds of our Navajo people go to work in the trades of carpentry, plumbing, electrical, and concrete, and being able to know what it's like to build this facility. Because some of you might think, what's a bathroom addition? To me, a bathroom addition is as complicated as it can get, because you're adjusting to unknown conditions. You don't know the structure that you're attaching the home to, and that it's got everything. It's got electrical, it's got plumbing, it's got drywall, it's got painting, it's got roofing, it's attaching and renovating. So to me, it's the most complicated little project that you can do, but our Navajo people will learn how to do it over the next couple of years, and we're going to have a lot of people out there that are going to be get better at being an electrician, get better being at a plumber, get better at roofing, get better at framing, drywalling, and siding, and everything that comes along with it. So I'm excited. I know 1,500 additions is the goal. That's a huge, tremendous goal that comes along with either a water line, if you live close enough, or if you live way too far, it's going to be a cistern tank and electricity if the power line's within a mile or two. And then if it's too far, then you're gonna have to. I think they're working on options to make sure that there's solar options until we can actually feasibly get electricity out to our people. And I've tasked land department. I've worked with council, RDC, and the number one goal is we got to get out there. And just my recent trip to DC. I just came back from DC this morning, and I met with President Biden yesterday. And one of the things that he signed is an executive order to really try to make sure that all the departments within the federal government can line up together and really push Navajo Native projects to the finish line. And that's what I'm excited about too. Coming together and making sure that we get things done. That's what it's about every single day, because tomorrow is not guaranteed, but we can wake up every single day with an opportunity to make things happen. So again, bathroom additions are underway in Noslini, and it's going to go all across the Navajo Nation. And one of the strategies is build where the weather's okay. We don't want to be going up in the mountains during the wintertime trying to build a bathroom addition, and it's going to cost double, triple the money. It's going to take a lot longer. So we're trying to hit up the areas where the weather is decent, and then in the summertime, move towards more of the winter areas to where the roads are more manageable and feasible, so we can get those done. Meet and greets. As I mentioned, I came back from the Tribal Nation Summit. It was a quick 24, 30-hour trip. The red eye there, and giving speeches and networking and meeting with the president, seeing the vice president, and really meeting other tribal leaders, and seeing our executive director Justin Hosteen out there as well too. So it was an exciting day. We also signed an MOU with the Department of Energy, Secretary Graham Hall, and she's also aligning a lot of all the other departments to get behind this MOU to make sure that we can deliver on energy as well too, clean renewable energy as well too. So again, those are some of the things we worked on. I was out there with Honorable Shauna Ann Claude, Jermaine Simonson, Carl Slater, and Speaker Curley. And we met with Senator Ben Ray Lujan, Representative Eli Crane, Representative Hagman, and all the other federal officials that truly want to see the best that we can do and really push our projects forward on Navajo as well. And then last night we had our first annual summit, the Navajo Nation. We hosted a banquet, kind of an event. We invited leaders, we invited other tribal leaders to come together, because when we come together and we have one voice and we're all unified behind make Indian country more accessible, make Indian country more efficient when it comes to our federal partners, and that's what we came together. And I truly believe the Navajo Nation is a leader. So we hosted the event last night, and thanks to Washington office, great turnout. Almost 200 people came out, and this was during and after the Tribal Nation Summit. So it was a great event. Moving forward, I know there's upcoming events this week. If you got some puppies, we have the Paladay Vaccination and Toy Drive, December 9 at Window Rock Fairgrounds from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Bring your puppies, bring your kitties, but only bring 4, though. They only got enough for 4, and they've got toys just for 1 at a time. So, again, make your way over there. We're also going to be doing a Christmas lighting within my office Thursday, December 14th. Christmas lighting, and the parade's going to start at 6 o'clock. So make your way over to Veterans Memorial Park. And then Saturday, Holiday Bazaar, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., Window Rock Sports Center. Navajo storytelling will start at 3 p.m. Christmas caroling on the 15th at the Window Rock Sports Center. If you want to help or get involved or be a part of it, or be a part of the planning or be a part of the events, call 928-871-7000. And then the Navajo Nation Family Resource Fair will be Friday, December 5th, down in Tucson, Arizona. I know, again, a lot of you tune in. You're from Phoenix, you're from Tucson, you're from Albuquerque, but your heart and your commitment is to our families on Navajo. So, again, we want to try to at least make our way out there and know that this is also your government too. You know what I mean? You might be down there and you're permanently down there, but your family, your relatives, you want to learn more about what we can deliver as Navajo, whether it's personal or you might be trying to get some information for your loved ones back home on the reservation. So again, Thomas Cody and some of the other divisions will be out in Tucson at the Mansfield Middle School on December 15th. Again, I don't know if I'll be there. Most likely I won't be there. Most of the time I'm in the office about 80 to 90% of the time. So again, continue to be a part of some of the events that we're hosting for the urban communities. With that being said, yeah, it was good to give you your weekly update. And hopefully you all tuned in on the radio, KTNN, KJK, KNDN, also on Spotify and Apple Podcasts if you missed it as well too. So again, I enjoy doing the Navajo version for our Navajo listeners as well. And then if you're on Instagram or TikTok or Twitter, we'll also do a 90-second video for you as well too. So kind of recapping that, we're trying to make sure that we're as transparent and as accountable and as efficient for you all. So yeah, out on the jono ta ta hasingado yeah si bohonet lo the nebanant an khan shnige yeah and continue to be blessed and continue and I know that God is continuing to bless the great Navajo Nation on a day-to-day basis. So hagone until next week.
Good afternoon, everyone. Great to see you all and those that are listening in. My name is Mike Holona. I'm the Executive Director for the Division of Natural Resources. And I'm very excited to be able to be here today and be able to get with you and just provide some information on what the Division of Resource has been working on. Of course, we started with our strategic planning process. The whole division, all 11 department staff came together numerous different times. We were developing our new vision statement. We were developing our new mission statements. We developed our values, our objectives, the tasks that need to take to get those objectives done, and identified champions, individuals that are going to track these projects to ensure that they get completed, that they're on time, they're setting milestones, and of course, the end result is completion. So, that's going to start looking really inviting for a lot of people to also join in to be able to make these goals a reality. And the whole focus, of course, is how do we improve our operations to benefit the people and the resources at the same time. And so that takes a lot of collaborating, coordinating, a lot of teamwork and communication, so everybody knows what we are doing, what we are working on, and so they know where the pieces need to be picked up. Also, we've been busy with working directly with the Resource Development Committee. They're our legislative arm. They develop laws, regulations, and so forth that help us in preserving and conserving our natural resources, and how do we are able to meet the needs of the people. So the work sessions have entailed how can we improve the right-of-way process. A right-of-way is required for new roads, required for new utility distribution lines, new distribution fiber, water lines. So that entails most of the ARPA projects that we've all have planned, all the chapters have planned, and they're looking forward. So rights of ways are still required for non-Navajo entities, which are your companies such as Sacred Winds, Continental Divide, Hamus Electric, Farmington Electric, Socorro Electric. Those are still looking at rights of ways, but we're looking at ways to streamline it so they can still provide the services. Navajo Nation entities that are 100% owned, which are like NTUA, NECA, NHA, NTEC, NDOT, all of these, what they're able to do is submit what's called Tribal Access Authorizations. They're TAAs is what we call them. And it's similar to a right-of-way, but without no BIA approval. It's just simply a matter of getting the environmentals and the biologicals done, and we're able to move forward. Same with service line agreements, looking at how do we streamline that? How do we make it more business friendly to provide to people to get the services that are living away from the grid? So we're saying service line agreements could be up to a mile. That would be allowable. So we're making those type of adjustments. And of course, one of the big topics always for people is home site leases. And we always say home site leases take too long, home site leases. And, we've made a lot of changes all since 2018 when the Navajo Nation took over the leasing authority. But now we're looking at what can we do. We know we have a lot of families that don't have home site leases, but have homes. They have developed residents away from the grid and don't have utilities. They don't have water. And with ARPA, they need to get a lease done. So we've developed a process, and we have now have RDC reviewing that and going to get legislation out. We're looking at next week, December 13th, for RDC to entertain the legislation, which would make it really quick for existing homes and residents so they can all participate in the ARPA projects that are being rolled out for utility, water lines, and broadband as well. In that, you also look at bathroom additions and so forth. The Navajo Land Department has already written a quick policy, a memo that states that bathroom additions do not require a home site lease. Renovation to homes, new doors, new porches, new roofs, new windows, renovating an existing home. You don't need a home site lease to receive those services from the chapter. So those are some of the amendments that we have made to be able to provide the services that are needed to our constituents, to our family, to our relatives. Another exciting event coming that you all should be aware of is our job fair for the Division of Natural Resources. We have almost 200 vacancies within the division. That's affecting a lot of the services, such as windmill repair, earth dam repairs. We need equipment operators. We need laborers. We need a lot of help. And so we think they're out there. We think you know them. And so we want to do a job fair. And at the same time, the Division of Natural Resource will be doing an outreach. We'll have our home site lease people there. We'll have our fish and wildlife. We'll have our historic preservation people there. We'll have our parks and recreation, the Navajo Land Department. They'll be there to answer questions, provide information, help you with your application, get all your questions asked. So they'll be done on an agency basis, and that we want to be able to reach out and help everyone. The holidays are upon us now. Everybody, most of you may already have your trees up. If you haven't got your Christmas tree and you're wondering, what do I need to do to get a Christmas tree? You need a $5 money order, and you take that to the forestry department or call them. I believe they have some at the chapter level. You can get your Christmas tree tag for $5, and you take your family out and select and choose your tree for your home. That's a special event, and I know what that's like. I used to go do that with my dad when I was small, and I still remember them. So those are very fond memories that I can't forget because it was so fun. And so with that, I just want to again wish everybody holiday. Again, my name is Mike Halona. Adobet ahnin shton ashin bashin tohan dasanalikia ani dachiche. What ad nen stenle tohache holida go. Ako quiet taga hot zand de need ninsto ku nai Christian hatet. Christian handahit. Christian halet alas etod nit. Halet but never caught deal what la. Di da ne di denzen. Di da yehtahatzi. No, even yakwa na nish ahui ship that nil kai. Aro kodoani, on President Blue Nygren. It's at the art and what it's at what are they need nish, it's at what answer they case. A what are yato nil, a co, yahon so you can have street or little a care. Then he did destiny. Thank you, and God bless you all, and happy holidays.
Yat good afternoon. Ashe Justin Ahastin Yanishia. ado na nishlinigi belagana nishle totsane basuschin belagana edashache nanak isani edashanele ba oge the dead nasha. Good afternoon. My name is Justin Ahostin. I'm the Executive Director for the Navajo Nation Washington office, coming to you live from Washington, D.C. It's been a very eventful week here in Washington, D.C. This week marked the second annual Tribal Nations Summit under President Biden, which is an event every year where the White House gathers the 574 federally recognized leaders from each of the tribes within the United States to discuss certain policy issues that are affecting Indian country. As you may have heard from the president earlier, that he did come down to Washington, D.C., and then he was able to meet with President Biden directly to advocate on a few priorities to include economic development, public safety and justice, as well as infrastructure development for our nation so that we can build a better tomorrow for our Navajo people. At the summit, there was an announcement made that an executive order would be implemented and was signed at the summit yesterday. This would allow the White House to reinforce its trust responsibilities to foster the next phase of tribal self-determination, and is also a representation of the Biden-Harris's administration for deep respect for tribal sovereignty. And as you may hear the president over and over again, one of the biggest things and one of the biggest priorities that he has is ensuring that we maintain our self-determination and we maintain our sovereignty as a nation. Previous federal policies and the previous era have often left detrimental impacts to Indian nations across the country and has caused significant harms, whether that be the boarding school policies, the livestock reduction, forced relocation. There has been a significant shift since then, and we are now seeing that there is folks in the federal government that actively represent some of our views. And though we may not agree on everything, I think we can all agree that we are trying to do what's best to administer services and allow Native peoples to provide those services on behalf of the federal government through those 638 self-determination contracts. And that's really what sovereignty means, is being able to own and operate our own entities and really build a nation to where we know what our people need in order for them to survive. So this executive order would actually ease a lot of the requirements that would allow tribes to access grant funding, so funding to actually run these programs. That includes a federal mandate for agencies to make all federal funding available to tribes and make it flexible and equitable. It also requires a tribal access portal, or what they would call a clearinghouse, to house all of the grants in one area so that tribes don't have to go out looking for specific grants to address their needs, whether that's infrastructure or public safety dollars or economic development. Everything will be housed in one area specifically for tribes, which would allow us to apply for more funding and actually deploy that funding in a timely manner. It also eases the reporting requirements, recognizing that tribes do not have the same capacity as states or other governments who already have existing infrastructure. So I think this is a really good thing for the Navajo Nation. It is something that we have been actively advocating on, and now that the federal government has finally heard our pleas in easing some of the reporting and the stringent requirements, because you can't expect tribes to perform at the same level of states if we don't have the existing infrastructure or the people to actually fill those high demand roles. In other news, one of the unfortunate things that has happened over the last week is the Radiation Exposure Compensation Act amendments were unfortunately pulled from the National Defense Authorization Act. The Radiation Exposure Compensation Act would have provided benefits to post-71 uranium workers. And as you all know, the dark history of uranium mining on the Navajo Nation, that is a really big insult to our nation, and we're not standing for it. We're actively up on the Hill this week. I have staff over there right now negotiating to get that back into the National Defense Authorization Act, because it is a really big injustice. Our people have sacrificed a lot in the interest of national defense, not only by providing our language to win the war during World War II, but also helping the United States develop its nuclear arsenal in support of national defense and also contributing to the energy development of the nation. Over 30 million tons of uranium was extracted from the Navajo Nation, and that is over half of the domestic supply of uranium, and that was mined by our own people. So we firmly believe, and it's President Nygren's belief, that the federal government must be held accountable and must rectify the wrong that they have committed against our people, and that remains his biggest priority. We have been coordinating with the Office of the Speaker and the Navajo Nation Council on our next steps, which include getting a statement by the president and council out. And like I said, I have staff up on the Hill right now advocating for the interest of the Navajo people, to making sure that we get the federal government to recognize that they can't just brush our people off. It is very disappointing. It is very insulting, and it really just is not in line with what this country is supposed to stand for. So we appreciate President Nygren's leadership, as well as Speaker Curley, in driving these amendments and calling our congressional lawmakers to making sure that they are voting for what is right. And we would also like to express our thanks to Senator Hawley, Senator Lujan, and Senator Crapo for their leadership in the Senate in making sure that these amendments remain part of the National Defense Authorization Act. Like I said, this is not the end. We're going to continue to fight on this, but I just want the Navajo people to know that we have hit this roadblock, but we're actively working to address this. One thing that the people at home can do is call your member of Congress. Pick up the phone. Navajo is represented by Senator Mark Kelly, Senator Kristen Sinema. If you call them and get them to be a little more vocal on the issue, that may also help. We also recommend that you contact the Speaker of the United States office, which is Mike Johnson of Louisiana, as well as the Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell's office, to voice your concerns and your opinion, and plead with them to put the National Defense Authorization Act with the RECA amendments, because this is something that is really going to benefit our people. It's unfortunate that we're at this phase, but we're going to continue to push. But we do call on our people's support to making sure that that happens. We'll be having another strategic meeting after this call here, and we're going to figure out what our next steps are. And we'll keep the people updated on our social media platforms as best we can. If you have questions, don't hesitate to contact our office. We do have staff available, more than willing to answer some of the questions on how you may be able to assist outside of just calling your member of Congress. Again, Navajo Nation is represented by Arizona Senators Kristen Sinema and Mark Kelly, as well as Congressman Eli Crane. For New Mexico, we're represented by Senator Martin Heinrich and Senator Ben Ray Lujan, as well as Congresswoman Ledger Fernandez and Congressman Gabe Vasquez. And for Utah, which is the only state that has not signed on to the Radiation Exposure Compensation Act, that is Senator Mike Lee and Senator Mitt Romney, as well as Congressman John Curtis. So with that, those are our quick updates over what has been transpiring over the last week in Washington, D.C. I wish all of you a very happy rest of your week, and thank you for tuning in. Yeah.
He's the one that made the hat. He's off.
And good afternoon, everyone. My name is Effie Edsity. I'm the Executive Director for the Office of the Navajo Tax Commission. I'm Kia Ani Bonfort Tabahan, coming from Nashville, New Mexico. So I'm going to start my report with reporting on our 2024 revenue tax collection. And our, so we're starting with the first quarter of fiscal year 2024, which is going to consist of tax payments for October, November, and December. Right now, for the sales, non-retail, we have collected just short of $14 million. Tobacco products tax is at $14,000. Possessory interest tax, $8.9 million. Oil and severance, we've collected $1 million. Business activity tax, $2.7 million. Fuel excise tax, $2.2 million. Hotel occupancy tax, $400,000. our sales tax non-retail. Our sales tax retail, this is our brick and mortar stores, 3.3 million. Junk food tax, 516,000. Alcohol tax, 15,000. So that brings our total as of December 7, 2023, our total for tax collection is $33,291,012. Of the taxes that we have collected, I would say the possessory interest tax and hotel occupancy tax is increasing more than what we have projected for the first quarter. So we are doing very well in those areas. For the monies going into general funds, we have the sales tax non-retail. A portion of it goes into general funds. We deposited $7 million into general funds. Tobacco products tax, possessory interest tax, oil and severance tax, and the business activity tax, all of what we collected have gone into the general funds. So that would be the $13,000, including $8.9 million, $1 million, and the $2.7 million. So we've deposited $19,784,160 into the general funds for first quarter 2023, and that's of December 7th. So we still have the rest of the month of December to collect, and our total for that we probably won't have until the beginning of January. A couple of things that we are working on at the Office of Navajo Tax Commission is the fuel excise tax licensing process. The application process right now is in full swing. You can find the application and all of our reporting forms on the website, tax.navajo-nsn.gov. For the fuel excise tax, we license fuel retailers, fuel carriers, fuel distributors, and fuel refineries. Our fuel taxpayers have to be licensed by December 31st, 2023 for the upcoming 2024 year. Currently, we are aiming at mailing our licenses by December 22nd, 2023 for those fuel excise taxpayers who are in compliance. To be considered in compliance, you must be registered and have all your returns, reports, and taxes paid by the end of the year. Also, note that these licenses are non-transferable. For example, if we have a company that owns 3 gas stations on the Navajo Nation, each one of the gas stations would have to have their own license. Another example is if a company sells their gas station, their convenience store, the new owners would have to apply for their own license. These licenses cannot be transferred. Another area we are licensing right now is for our liquor taxpayers. We license wholesalers and retailers of liquor, beer, spirits on the Navajo Nation. Our liquor taxpayers have to be licensed by December 31st also for the upcoming year 2024. And again, we are aiming at mailing our licenses by December 22nd. So taxpayers will have them in hand by the beginning of the year. Again, these taxpayers must be in compliance. They must be registered, have all their forms, returns, reports, and taxes paid before getting their license. Licenses are also non-transferable for the liquor retailers and wholesalers. Another initiative that we are partaking in is the solar tax initiative. It's been brought to the table. We've reviewed it. A lot of discussion still going on the applicability, the rates, and just a whole bunch of other little tidbits that we need to iron out before we can get that initiated. I've met with a couple of the solar companies and I got their perspectives on the Navajo business taxes and how it compares to the states in the Four Corners area. When implementing a new tax, it is much more involved than just putting a tax percentage on the business activity. What I would like to do is for myself and my ONTC team to thoroughly research the industry and all of the stakeholders involved. What I'm talking about is I'm looking at it from the perspectives of the businesses, to the government, to the states, and also, and more importantly, to the grassroots people of the Navajo Nation. How will this tax affect them? How will it affect the businesses? How will it affect the governments? You know, all of those need to be thoroughly researched, and that's what our Tax Commission is looking at right now. Another initiative we have on the table is the tobacco products tax. Now, there has been suggestion to increase the tax. So we have been looking at the different perspectives, different rates. So the increase of the TPT tax, well, the purpose of the increases is to assist and support proposed health programs initiated by the Navajo Nation. So this is still a work in progress. It is being reviewed and hopefully will be introduced soon. One of the other areas we are working on is, of course, our tax commissioners. We have a 5-member commission. At the moment, we have 2. One is being reviewed for the 3rd seat, which I'm really excited about. Once we get the 3rd seat filled, we will have a quorum and we'll be able to make the additional changes that are needed to our UTAS, basically our statutes and regulations for all 9 of our taxes. Some of these have been implemented back in the 1970s and have not been updated as far as definition rates and things like that. So with this 3rd commissioner on board, we will be able to make those recommended changes. But commissioners serve a 5-year term. They provide guidance on tax issues, and we have them attend meetings at least once a quarter. So we have, so the 3rd on review, we have 2 more open vacancies, and I hope to fill those soon. And as the Office of the Navajo Tax Commission, we do have some vacancies, and they will be posted with DPM on their website soon. We have a tax auditor position, a couple of tax compliance officer positions, and a senior minerals specialist position. If you are interested, take a look at the website and go ahead and fill out your application and get us your information. With that, I would like to say have a good day, and I hope and I wish you all well. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tom Platero. I work with the Navajo Nation Fiscal Recovery Fund Office. I have some information to share with you today. I got some updated numbers on expenditures for the Navajo Nation Fiscal Recovery Fund Office, or Navajo Nation Fiscal Recovery Fund, or the ARPA funds. As of December 1st, 2023, the full funding that the Navajo Nation has received is $2,079,461,463.61. Out of this, what has been paid out or have cash checks written out and cashed is $791,258,091.24, which is 38.05% of the funding. Contracts or encumbrance is $371,581,229.70, or 17.87. So what needs to be encumbered or obligated is $916,622,142.67, or 44.08%. So what that means is at this point, Navajo Nation has either expended or contracted 55.92% of the overall funding that the Navajo Nation has received. One of the things that everybody should be mindful of are the deadlines for the ARPA funding. The first one is all of the funding that's been received needs to be encumbered or obligated by December 31st, 2024. That's only 390 days away. The second part of it is once they meet the obligation requirement, then the payout of those funding or the contracts is December 31st, 2026, which is 1,120 days away. One of the things that we'd really like to encourage everyone to do is to take a look at our website, www.frf.navajo-nsn.gov. This has a lot of financial data information, detailed reports or summarized reports. Everybody kind of looks at financials differently. It's updated twice a month by the NNFRF finance section, so you can find that information. The other one is we actually do, the finance section also does an overall budget unit summary report. This gives you all the balances in a snapshot. A snapshot as much as you can. There's over 300, we're approaching 400 accounts now for the ARPA funding. So that one is a smaller report. The financial report is very detailed and it breaks it down into the accounting information at level of detail 6. The next one that you can take a look at there are the status reports or the subrecipient agreements. There are a lot of subrecipient agreements going through for chapters. The majority of the vendor ones are completed. N2A has a bunch of subrecipient agreements. The status report on where they are in that process, as well as actual copies of the subrecipient agreements. So all of that's information that's there. Copies of contracts, copies of all the Navajo Nation resolutions that have been approved that relate to the Navajo Nation Fiscal Recovery Fund office. The other one is we've also posted information on the Treasury guidelines. Treasury guidelines have been evolving over since 2021. They're now on their 13th edition. So even the federal side is still trying to update their rules on how the ARPA funding can be used. One of the things that we're really excited to report from the Navajo Nation Fiscal Recovery Fund office is we're in the final stages of creating a web-based reporting system. This reporting system will be on the FRF website. It'll take information from the funding recipient, whoever got the money, the administrative oversight. Each of the expenditure plans for the Fiscal Recovery Fund has a designated oversight. An oversight committee could be the Division of Community Development, Division of Water, Natural Resources, Economic Development. All these tribal divisions, they have oversight over the funding for each of these recipients. They'll have a section to report. And then within the FRF office, there'll be 3 sections that will be providing reports, and that will be the finance section, the monitoring section, and the technical section. And then we're leaving it open for any contractors with any of these accounts, and that'll be optional for them to provide their reporting in there. And again, this initiative is being undertaken to further enhance the transparency of the NNFRF ARPA funding. One of the things that I was instructed both underneath my old boss and my current boss, is that we be as transparent as possible with the ARPA funding. So to keep a lookout for that, we're anticipating that it'll go live by the middle of January, and so that's been a long ongoing project that's being done. One of the things that's been really interesting is the last 4 days, the Navajo Committee of the Navajo Nation Council has been holding a meeting to meet with divisions, departments, contractors, basically going over all of the funding that's been received by the Navajo Nation and allocated out. So a lot of information is going there, a lot of exchange of ideas. One of the things that will be coming out at the end of this is they're going to be making a recommendation for revisions to the rules, policies that govern the ARPA funding. There's also going to be a chance that some of the funding will be reallocated. So it was a very productive meeting for the last couple of days. There's a lot of notes that were taken, a lot of follow-up items that are going to need to be done. But the main thing that's going to come out of it is the resolutions that are approved in place are going to probably be modified in a certain way to ensure that every cent of the ARPA funding that the Navajo Nation got is expended. Again, with that, Tom Platero, Navajo Nation Fiscal Recovery Office, thank you for your time. Appreciate everyone's input to help make this ARPA project a success. Yeah.